I remember quite a few cartoons that I watched religiously when I was a child. Along with these, like Ninja Turtles and Transformers, there was this little show that you may have heard of called G.I. Joe. Based on the old toy line, this 80s show reimagined it as an epic battle between two warring factions. On one side, you have the United States-run Special Forces unit codenamed G.I. Joe, and the other, a terrorist organization known as Cobra. This show would introduce many memorable characters on both sides, from Duke, Roadblock, Scarlet, and Lady J, to Destro, Zartan, the Baroness, and Cobra Commander, not to mention the two popular ninja characters, Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. Now, what I really remember is when WWE's Sergeant Slaughter joined the team. He was like a real-life G.I. Joe. Another thing that was cool about it was that the show was pretty diverse, with male and female characters from many walks of life featured throughout. While the series is not as popular as it once was, it's still around thanks to comics, movies, and of course video games. One such game is G.I. Joe Operation Blackout, which came out a couple years ago. I've gotten back into G.I. Joe recently thanks to revisiting old G1 Transformers episodes. Upon doing so, I also saw that the Hasbro channel is running G.I. Joe episodes in a marathon, I believe in celebration for the 40th anniversary. So I decided to track this game down for the Switch and see what it had to offer.
This is mine!
Now, the story for Operation Blackout seems something right out of the TV show or comic books. Cobra, well, pretty much wins. Using a device known as the Blackout Sphere, Cobra managed to knock out electrical equipment all over the world. By doing so, they defeat Joe, capturing most of their forces, including the team leader Duke. The remaining Joes must regroup and team up in order to stop Cobra and save the world. Which won't be easy, as Cobra Commander's forces are hot on their trail. At the same time, Destro and the Baroness are planning their own overthrow of the Commander and taking charge of Cobra for themselves. Evil does not share power. Now, one thing that's very obvious about Operation Blackout is that it's very much a budgeted title, but they do get the most out of it that they can. The cutscenes are these moving comic book stills that are nicely drawn and are used to advance the story. You play through multiple chapters, alternating between Team Joe and Team Cobra, with the options of playing with multiple characters. You can replay a level after beating it, add perks, change difficulty, and complete side missions for extra rewards. Essentially, this is a third-person shooter. With your character, you can sprint, jump, evade, and crouch to attempt to dodge incoming fire. You can retaliate with your equipped weapon along with your lock-on, which pretty much turns this gameplay into a hail of gunfire. Now, along with your health, you also have a shield that can help you tank a great deal of damage, but only for a certain period of time. If it gets broken, you better move around to give your shield a chance to rejuvenate. If not, it's game over. Now, you can switch between your main weapon and your alternate. You can also pick up weapons on the battlefield along with health pickups, grenades, and ammo. Keep in mind you can run out of bullets if you lose sight of them. Another helpful feature also is the quick reload, which does help in the midst of battle. Now, each character has their own special attack that can be used when the meter is filled up all the way. These attacks vary in effectiveness in my opinion. Some are pretty good, like the boost in strength and the close quarter strike that can eliminate nearby enemies, but others are not quite as effective, such as a grenade which gives several blasts in a row. But the one attack I'm really not a fan of is the melee. Now, when an enemy gets close, you can take your knife out and you will start slashing while running around. You do look pretty silly as you try to run down your enemy to take them out. I just did not find it to be very effective. It is a little better with characters that have swords, but in the end, it's safe to say some characters are just better than others. Some are more heavy hitters, while others are quicker and so on. And no surprise for me personally, but Snake Eyes feels like the best character in the game. Other levels that show up from time to time are vehicle battles, where you take control of a tank and blast your way through a road section. You can hit the brakes, speed up, and use different cannons to take down enemies. It's not surprising that these things are here, as armored vehicles and G.I. Joe go together like peanut butter and jelly, but I only found these sections to be okay. It took me a while to get used to them, honestly. I really do prefer my ground combat, but they still get the job done when it comes to adding variety. Now, you do have the option to play the campaign in solo mode or with a friend. During your battle, you can get other collectibles such as alternate costumes and covers from G.I. Joe comics. As far as presentation, like the graphics and the music, they're only okay. Again, it's a very budgeted title, so there's nothing special, but they are passable. I also noticed there are pop-in graphics that occur from time to time, so those are very noticeable. And when it comes to music, I swear there's only one track in this whole game. I'm sure there's others, but there's none that really come to mind. And just for the record, to not have any version of the G.I. Joe theme song, one of the best theme songs from the 80s, is just un-American. The audio sound is definitely nothing to write home about. Overall, G.I. Joe Operation Blackout is to me an example of a good enough game. It is playable, and certainly not a broken mess like Sonic Boom or Superman 64. I know that's not the greatest praise, but for G.I. Joe fans, I still think this is a fun game to play. Without the G.I. Joe brand, this game is very generic. Heck, even with the brand, it's still very generic. It's just a standard third-person shooter, but playing with the classic characters does boost it in the fun department. It's one of those games you can find pretty cheap nowadays. Personally, I got this game for only $4, and I have no regrets. In my G.I. Joe mood, it's nice to play a game that lets you take control of the Joes and Cobras, and have fun shooting down mobs of enemies. So if you're a fan of the franchise, I say give it a go, Joe.
Yo, Joe!
Anyway, I'm Eugene Morris of the Brotherhood of Gaming. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out our other TBOG videos. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time, and as always, keep on gaming.